Alrighty, y'all. So, we're out here getting that morning walking. I tell you what, my arms hurt. They are sore. If I go ahead and take them and fully extend and squeeze the tricep, or curl them up and squeeze the biceps as hard as possible, oh man, the ensuing cramp, it's ridiculous. So the new arm programming, definitely effective, so we cannot complain about that. I foresee that producing a lot of progress, overall gains in the arm development department in the next couple months here. So that is super exciting. Now, as for the target of today, would be legs. So my back still feels a bit sore from back day, so we're really going to notice if our form is any bit out of whack, because we will instantly notice we are loading the spine or bending over trying to do a good morning or something like that. That dude's bumper is like hanging off of his car. But with that, I guess that's probably going to be a positive. Hamstrings themselves don't feel too sore, so that should not be a factor in our squat today from just doing deadlifts and the hamstrings being burnt out still. So I think that's going to make it real easy for us to get the leg drive in. So we will see how squats today go. Since we will be doing them with the Smith machine, that'll also be a benefit because it keeps us, our heel to bar alignment correct. So then it's just making sure that we're getting our knees to push over our feet. Our stance is wide enough. We're keeping our back as straight as possible to make sure our hips are getting deep and not just bending over at the hips. So we will see how that goes. But with that, we're finished up with our walk today. So I'm gonna go ahead and head on inside, get ready for my first meal here, get today's video edited, and get some more classwork done. Something a little new today. I went ahead and stretched a little bit. I've got the catches set down at where the very bottom of my squat is. So like as deep as I could possibly ever get to. Then I went ahead and moved my feet to where I want them to be at the bottom of the movement, where my knees feel comfortable, I have a good hip angle, and all of that. And then I went ahead and taped the ground for where the inside of my shoes need to be at that. I'm going to try to use this as a way to start training and correcting my squat. That way, I know when I get all the way to the bottom and I hit, no matter what, that is the bottom of my squat, and I have to reach that. I'm not worried about the tension coming off of me when I'm down in the bottom of the hole there. We will work on that eventually as we get our squat fixed and corrected. I'm trying to fix overall mechanical form problems. So I have a few of them that need to be fixed. One, my knees aren't getting out over past my toes far enough. Two, I have a leaning problem, like a forward lean. And three, I have like a butt wink or hip wink back roll or tuck problem. So I have multiple little issues going on. A lot of it's going to stem from the fact that my hips are core, like lower core, hips, quads and hamstrings, glutes are all very tight. I have to start doing a lot more stretching, probably some foam rolling. It'd probably be beneficial to go get like a couple deep tissue massages, or possibly even like a chiropractic adjustment. So there is some issues there that I'm working on correcting. So we are making an active stance to correcting that. So I'm hoping by having the placement of the ground marked where my feet need to be, that'll make my squat consistent. And with doing that, I should be able to actively progress now from this, getting the feel of how the movement should feel again, and being able to push through the range of motion that's supposed to be correct. So whether or not I'm going to be able to push the same weight today, don't know, don't really care where that gets to. We are going to start out at 10 reps and 95 pounds. If we can go 8 at 135, 6 at whatever it was, 4 at 185, and 2 at 225, great. But that's not the overall current goal. The goal is to fix the mechanical portion of the squat and get my form fixed. So, and I figured, since today I'm a little sore and a little tight, this would be a good time to start that. So, I don't know if you can hear it on camera, but definitely moving through that range of movement. I have all sorts of popping and cracking types of noises coming out of this right knee and out of my right hip. So I can't really feel them, but I can hear them when I'm down in the hole, like them popping and cracking. So that is definitely a, I don't know if it's a plus or a minus, but it is definitely telling me that the muscles, ligaments, and tendons for the quad, and then all the little like meniscus and all that stuff inside the knee has definitely not been going through that range of motion, which is good because I know that my squat's been bad and wrong, and if I'm correcting it, I am going to be moving through a range of movement that I haven't been using. And so that means there's probably some scar tissue in there and a little bit of tightness, and everything's just got to start stretching and getting used again. And and that scar tissue broken down. So with that, I'm go ahead today. I'm just going to do 4 more sets at 95 pounds for my 5 sets that I would normally do, just to start continuously working in that form range. The next leg day we'll go 95 pounds and then 135. And then we'll do, so 1 set at 95 and 4 sets possibly at 135 if the weight's not too much and it doesn't feel uncomfortable. But I'll review this footage here in a little bit with my next couple sets and see how it's looking with making my feet where they are currently and adjusting the form to match where I need to be down in the hole. I will say that the load feels much better distributed on my spine than it has so far. And I could tell that even just at the 95 pounds. I have no loading in my lower back. So that's going to tell me I should be squatting much more vertical. And I can definitely feel the stretch in my knees pushing forward now. I could feel everything just trying to get longer, if that makes sense. So I am definitely very tight in the quads and the shins. I can feel all that stuff just stretching. So I don't want to put too much load on it yet, because a lot of load when you're not used to it can definitely create some problems. I don't need to injure or strain anything while we're trying to correct our problems. So with that, I'm gonna get these knocked out and then we'll move on to hack squats. So we're on to hack squats. For these, we're working on trying to get up to a 5x8, 110 pounds. This is one of those exercises we're using to also work on getting our knees forward and trying to get used to getting them up over the toes while trying to build a little bit of quad strength. So nothing too heavy as for weight numbers, but this feels extremely heavy to me just because it's something I'm very weak at. For whatever reason, my quads are very, very weak. I want to say a majority of it's probably just flexibility issues that I'm trying to work on and correct. So, because it always feels uncomfortable. So, if you're not comfortable with the movement you're doing, you're never going to get strong at it. So, a lot of what I'm trying to do now is corrective positioning, more or less, is the way I'm looking at it. Whether or not that's correct, wrong, not really sure. That's the approach I'm taking, is forcing myself to get into the correct position with, I wouldn't say the most weight possible, but with a moderate working weight. So it's hard and I have to put effort into it, but it's not so light that I can just, even though I am uncomfortable, that I could just do a bunch of reps. So let's go ahead and get these things going here. Oh my god, my legs already feel pretty toast just from doing the Smith squats already. So that's making a big oof. Oof. Man, those feel miserable to do. So I got 4 more sets of those. I'm gonna struggle those out. Then we'll be back for leg presses with the Smith machine. Man, my legs feel cooked already. We're done with the hack squats. Now we're on to vertical leg press. This will be a little more hamstring focused. Puts them into a much bigger stretch. And we're going to get our feet quite a bit further apart now, which also allows the hips to open up. And you get a much bigger stretch on your hamstrings every time you start widening your stance versus bringing your feet close. So I've got to do these four. We're looking at another 5 sets of 8 for these at just 145 pounds. So let's go ahead and get these things knocked out here. So this weight currently is definitely nothing heavy for a leg press. I'm using this more as like a forced stretch and try to load more for time under tension. So, with that, we are going to knock out 4 more sets. Then I'm going to move on to doing calf raises. And today, I think I might have figured out a better way to do them, and that's actually using the hack squat machine. So I think I could get my feet and ankles a lot deeper than using and standing on a plate. Much more stable base that's actually straight and not all round and crooked. So you'll see that here in just a moment. I went ahead and added another 50 pounds. So this is 160 on the hack squat. What we're going to do is we're going to get into the back pad and we're just going to stand right on the edge of this with the balls of our feet and see how the range of motion goes with or ankle flexion to do calf raises on this and see if it's effective or not. Or maybe I need to adjust the angle of this plate any. But whoop. Ooh, man. That feels much more effective than anything we've done so far. So, that is way more comfortable than having the bar dig in my back. That feels way easier to actually press into like that. The load feels a lot more balanced. The foot plate obviously feels way more stable than trying to stand on the very edge of a rubber plate that, you know, obviously isn't flat. So you're standing on like just the ball of your foot only, trying to do calf raises, so you're not very planted. But doing them like this, extremely planted. So I might try to widen my stance a little bit, put my feet on the outside of this pipe, or maybe one to the outside, one to the inside, and just have to be a little crooked. I'm not sure yet. To try to get that a little more effective for the drop, because what's happening as my feet come into this, my shoes are wide enough to where they hit each other and then kind of get stuck on the pipes. But it's no big deal. We can work around that if we need to. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 4 more sets at 20, and then we'll go ahead and move on to a core movement for today. I like to grab the cable basically right where my arms are straight. We just barely pull in a little bit of tension off the cables. Legs straight, hips pointing forward. We just come around our body. And by leaving your elbows locked in, your hands right out front of your chest, shoulders locked back, you're not moving your arms to move the weight around. So you have to move your core and get a twist in. And preferably, if your feet stay nice and straight, your hips are going to stay planted in the ground, and you're not going to twist in the hip like a golf swing. You're going to try to leave your hips set and just twist with your upper body. So you may not get all the way around, but you're going to try to focus in just using the abs and the obliques to pull that weight around. So that's kind of like the way I like to do them. And for me, this is what always kind of feels beneficial. Ugh. And being able to get that core activated to make that movement. So, are they super effective? I don't know. Can I feel the abs work? Yup. Can I feel the obliques work? Yup. So, am I going to say they're stimulating the muscle? In some sort of way, they gotta be. Now, is it the most effective way? I don't know. I don't do them all the time. I just like to throw them in here and there, just for something fresh. Another thing I haven't done in a very long time too is also like an oblique crunch or oblique raise. I'm not a big fan of raises because you're pulling down on your spine, and it's a movement that you can do with a pull, which is going to unload your spine versus a lift. So, and also keeps you from shrugging. And by doing that, you can hold the weight and just be locked in and squeeze down and just squeeze that oblique. And while pulling down, it's going to keep your spine decompressed. So to me, it's a more effective version of doing that exercise if you're going to do it. Now, do you really need to focus your obliques? I don't know. For the average person, probably not too much. Unless you're doing a whole bunch of random twisting stuff in your job and at work. I don't see it as being very beneficial for most, because it's going to make you thicker and wider looking, because you're going to build this section of muscle that's on the outside of your abs going to your sides. So if you don't need to pick things up and twist and, move in a circular motion like this with any sort of weight, I don't see it as a complete necessity. So because the wider your midsection gets, the bigger those obliques get, the less of that V-taper you get. So it'll make you look like square and blocky. which especially if, say, you're a female, you're definitely not looking to try to have a really wide looking core. So you want to keep your core tapered and let your hips and your shoulders be as wide as possible to get that hourglass or that big V taper for men. So it's a plus and minus on how strong and how large you want to make your obliques look. But it does look pretty cool when they're pretty defined and they're thick and they like encase, almost like picture frame your abs. So when you get lean, that's when you kind of want to make that decision of, do you want bigger, thicker obliques, or are they already in a good position? So something to keep in mind as one thing gets bigger, something else may need to get larger with it to make it look proportional, or to make the other muscle look bigger, or showcase it off by pulling attention to it. So it's all kind of like a personal preference thing and how you want your body to look. That's one of the coolest things about bodybuilding and fitness is you can do anything from I just want big arms and to make it look like I look big in a shirt, to when you take your shirt off, you're fucking chiseled and shredded, you know, Statue of David. Or you can stay nice and lean but just have giant freaking legs and just be a powerhouse of a freaking mule. So there's all sorts of things when it comes to how you want to make yourself look and what goals you're trying to achieve. So, but with that, we went over how we're going to start forcing our squat movement to be more correct, what we're trying to work up to on the hack squat, what we're doing on the leg press. And once I can get my squats back up, the hack squat to a full 5 set of 8, my leg presses feel comfortable, we're also going to add back in hip thrusts. For now, I'm going to pull them out because my glutes and hams are very strong compared to my quads, and I don't want that to continue, possibly be another contributing factor to my form issues, because I've got to figure out why I have these problems. Is it just a mobility problem, or is it just a muscle imbalance problem? Because if I can deadlift 410 pounds, I should very easily be able to squat, you know, into the 300s. And I'm struggling to squat 225 with decent form. So there's a big issue going on there. My deadlift should never be, you know, double my squat. It's bad. So, like, you're always going to have some variance between the two. Some people squat a little better than they deadlift, and some people deadlift a little better than they squat. But normally it's not like a 50% difference. It's within, you know, 10 and 15% normally. So, with that though, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. So make sure you're out there, you're getting your stuff done, you're working towards your goals, and most of all, don't be a lazy fuck.